Okay. So welcome to the 2020 graduation. Thank you for being here to support our seniors. And for those of you that are streaming live, thank you for supporting our seniors. We're really grateful to be here. I think we tend to start events and meetings with a moment of silence. And I think given everything that's happening in our world, it's a really important moment of silence tonight. I want to thank our communications team for making this possible for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this virtual as we are. So thank you to Warren, Jaime, and Ollie for making this possible. Might be loud. I also want to thank our teachers, our incredible teachers that support our students all the way through their education here at Oak Grove, but particularly over the last several weeks where our teachers have worked tirelessly to move the entire school online. So thank you, Oak Grove teachers. I also want to give a quick shout out to our chef, Anna Willis. Last night we were able to do our senior dinner remotely through Zoom, and Anna delivered food to each of our homes so that we can enjoy that. So thank you, Anna. And thank you to Carrie Devaney, who organizes our end of the year events, including graduation, and has done a fabulous job. So now I will introduce Russ, who will formally and officially introduce the class of 2020.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Russ, and I'm the director of the high school here at Oak Grove. I've had the pleasure of introducing the graduating classes over the last few years, and I've gotten into a practice of choosing one word that represents the class as a whole. At the beginning of the semester, when I first started to plan for this, and I reflected on their 4 years in the high school, the perfect word came to mind. Then, the coronavirus entered the scene, learning was shifted to remote, and Hallmark school year events had to be reimagined. The word I had chosen took on a whole new level of applicability. The word I had chosen was resilience. During their time at Oak Grove, these students have been scholars, they've been leaders and athletes, but they've also weathered the Thomas Fire during their sophomore year, the coming and going of countless classmates, and now the coronavirus at the end of their senior year. This group of young adults weathered and are still experiencing those events, all with composure, self-awareness, and maturity beyond their years. It's been a true joy working with them, and it gives me now great pleasure to introduce and invite to the stage 4 here in person and 1 virtually in China, Vivian, our Oak Grove School graduating class of 2020. I also had the privilege of serving as the 12th grade advisor this year. I had the honor of witnessing you plan for countless milestones and events during the year and helping you celebrate your accomplishments afterward. Through much hard work, vulnerability, the occasional Trader Joe's chocolate, and even a few tears, you've made it to this stage. And I'm so proud of and happy for each and every one of you. There's no denying that the last 2.5 months of your high school career were very different than what you assumed they would be. I could easily stand here and focus on all of those differences, and while it's important to acknowledge them and how maturely you've faced them, I'd like to reflect for just a moment on a few of the things that have made this class unique during your high school years. You are, in many ways, a class of firsts. Even right now, your class is making Oak Grove history. You're the first class to have their graduation ceremony live streamed to the world to watch. You're the first class who, based on your size, was able to go much further afield than we typically do for your sophomore backpacking trip. You hiked a stretch of the Northern California coast called the Lost Coast, walking along the beach every day and falling asleep every night to the white noise of the ocean's waves. You were the first trip to add a rafting experience in the Kern River on your junior trip, spending a day rafting and navigating the beautiful landscape of California's Sierra Nevada. And yes, there's no denying that you're one of the smallest classes in quite a while at Oak Grove. A common musing I've heard during our time together is, what is with our class? I may not be able to tell you why so many other students moved on, often to other cities and states, but I can tell you this. What is with your class is that your class is made up of 5 kind, dynamic, and strong young women that are adored by all who know you. You are leaders, you are scholars, you are activists, athletes, and inspirations. Your resilience and your kind-heartedness have shown just how strong, adaptable, and prepared you are. You are 5 diverse young women. Many of you have extended families from other countries. Many of you are bilingual and even trilingual. And you are full of passions, from dance to environmental protection, to working with children, to exploring psychology and mental health, to art and graphic design. And we are all better for having known you. So thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. Oak Grove has been blessed by your participation and your contributions. Most of all, I hope that the ideals of this school have been developed within you and will be carried with you throughout your futures. Now, due to COVID-19, our graduates are not going to be able to actually sing a song live tonight, but technology came through once again, and via an app that's called Acapella, the 4 girls here tonight were able to put together and synthesize their voices remotely into an actual song. And so it's a song that they chose, that they performed countless times when they were off in India traveling together. And so please enjoy.
I see your face in those moving lights, moving and falling as time slipped by. And I wish in this moment that I could have died right there. The wind was howling, but we weren't scared. Remember living on bikes those years when we lost all control and scuffed up the soles of our shoes. So baby, come with me now, high above the leaves. Bring apple juice and freezies. We learn how to dream and make our little nest. It's always the best back at the tree house. Let's go back to the tree house. Fixed our eyes on those flashing signs. We didn't think we'd make it out alive, but we rode on those coasters till apples were oranges too. The ocean's freezing, they warned us well. Our hearts were burning, our limbs propelled into icy salt water. To us it's euphoria still. So baby, come with me now, high above the leaves. apple juice and freezies. Relearn how to dream. We'd make our little nest. It's always the best back at the tree house. Let's go back to the tree house. And I see it coming, not so inviting. The seasons are falling, I'm so scared of falling. Seasons are changing, we're rearranging our plans in the sand. I'm so tired, could we just skip down the road back home, please? Baby, come with me now, get a bunch of dreams. The world could all be yours if you'd stop being a realist. There's no need to stress, you'll be a success back at the tree house. Let's go back to
So we're going to roll with the technology. Forgot to do this before, sorry. So seniors, this is not the graduation you imagined. And this is not the graduation your parents imagined for you. In normal times, you and I would have hugged when you got here tonight, and we would hug again when I physically could pass you your diploma. There would be hundreds of people here to share this moment with you. You might have imagined a graduation party or going out to dinner with your family and extended family, but none of this is going to happen tonight. We are not only navigating the unknown arc of a global pandemic, but we are witnessing the vivid and heartbreaking realities of systemic racial inequality and violence. These are not normal times, but these are not normal young women. As Russ pointed out, this class has a history of exemplifying resilience, the ability and the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. Soon after we went on our stay-at-home orders, Russ and I spoke to the seniors about the possibility of having to cancel the end-of-the-year events, including prom, gateways, and graduation. Before the meeting, I had prepared myself for holding their disappointment, sadness, and possibly anger, and this would be justifiable given the situation. But that's not what happened. From that meeting until tonight, these young individuals, while of course sad and disappointed, have met this moment of uncertainty and chaos with compassion, honesty, bravery, and sensitivity. Immediately, these students shared a concern for their younger schoolmates, expressed appreciation for their teachers for working so hard to put their schooling online, and began participating in plans to give back to the community. Their response was a palpable feeling of love and a way of transforming disappointment into possibility. It reminds me of a quote from our founder. It reads, the moment you have in your heart this extraordinary thing called love, and you feel the depth, the delight, the ecstasy of it, you will discover that for you, the world is transformed. Like I said, this is not a normal class. And we have a visitor. This class includes Natasha, who recently shared a pivotal moment during a hike on her junior trip to Zion National Park. She said when she reached the plateau, which was considered the end of the hike for her class, and she could have been done herself, she chose to go the distance, the extra mile, to the top of Angel's Landing. She shared how incredibly beautiful and scary that was. She said, we are capable of more than we think we are. When talking about the pandemic, Natasha shared that there are things that you cannot plan for, and that's what makes them so memorable. Watching Jane flower over these past 9 years has been breathtaking, as she has continued to surprise us with her stick-to-itiveness even in the face of difficulties, like getting through the backcountry, hikes, as a very slight person with a very large pack. During the last few weeks, Jane has worked with our preschool and kindergarten students remotely to explore self-identity by making self-portraits, some of them out of found objects in nature. Jane defines art as finding beauty all around you as well as within. Thank you, Jane, for sharing your beauty with us. Vivian challenged herself again and again beyond her comfort zone. When arriving to Oak Grove, she did not like or understand why we require students to backpack or camp. She shared that traveling through narrow mountain trails was not enjoyable, but this taught her a level of accomplishment that she couldn't have done otherwise. In the past few weeks, since her return to China, in addition to continuing to school with Oak Grove, Vivian chose to serve others by volunteering at her former elementary school as they worked to reopen. She spent hours every day teaching, taking and reporting temperatures for the more than 3,000 students at that school. Sometimes strength comes from being vulnerable. Annalise has taken memorable intellectual and physical risks, as well as some profound emotional ones. This began when she moved from North Carolina to come to Ojai to attend Oak Grove School. And since, many examples, including building deep and lasting relationships with students at our sister schools in London and in India. While at home, Annalise works with an animal sanctuary caring for severely injured animals, some of them found on the street. Luna recently shared a moment when she was younger and nervous to speak. She said, "My voice was shaky and I was so scared, but I was still able to speak, so still able to get my point across." I will forever have the image of Luna's face, bruised, swollen, and marked with cuts, as she used crutches to reach the podium to speak with us. Even though she had been in a serious car accident just 10 days beforehand, she insisted on keeping her commitment to speak at the fundraising tea. So although these are not ordinary times, this is no ordinary class. And although the world seems to be unraveling before our eyes, I have every confidence in this small group of young women that they have everything it takes to meet the world and transform it into something beautiful. Class of 2020, your first year of college will also not be how you imagined, but you will meet that moment as you have met this one with sensitivity and love and resilience. Thank you. And now I send it over to Luna as she will introduce our first student speaker.
So over the past few weeks, one of the senior traditions we have are writing haikus for one another, and that's how we're all going to introduce ourselves in each other. So, always smiling, a helpful hand to offer, quiet and wise. Please help me welcome Jane.
I first came to Oak Grove in 4th grade, but my first time on campus was during one of the annual open houses. I remember riding in the backseat of my parents' car, a shy, reserved little girl who didn't know what she was getting herself into. I remember visiting all of the classrooms and shaking the hands of my future teachers. I remember feeling butterflies in my stomach as I looked around at the classrooms, trying to picture what my future class would be like. I remember the look of surprise on my parents' faces when we learned that school started at 8 a.m. My first days at Oak Grove were a scary experience for me. The previous school I attended only went up to the 3rd grade, and so I was forced to change schools for the first time in my life. Oak Grove was a much bigger school, and I had to get used to being on campus with kids of all ages. I remember walking to PE one day as the trail of seniors headed to what I later learned were elective classes. They all looked so big and adult-like, and I fantasized about what I would be like once I reached their age. Little did I know that time would fly by much more quickly than expected. Since my first visit to the school, a lot has changed. I've gone from years of gardening with Old MacDonald in middle school to backpacking the Lost Coast my sophomore year. I remember hiking through black sand beaches and spring meadows, waiting patiently for sunsets and laughing around the campfire. The entire trip was truly a unique experience. I sometimes wonder how my life would have turned out if I hadn't chosen to attend Oak Grove. I highly doubt I would have had the opportunity to perform a Spice Girls dance routine at El Cap, or get the chance to be locked up in an escape room with my classmates. I learned that escape rooms are harder than expected, but that it is all about working together as a team. We almost made it out, in case you're wondering. As I look into the future, I can see nothing but possibility. Oak Grove has taught me many important lessons about myself during the 9 years I've been here. I have learned not to stress out if things don't go my way, to let these things happen naturally, and to have faith that they will work out in the end. Although I feel sad that my time at Oak Grove is coming to an end, I understand that part of life is learning to move on and accept change. Now, as I'm standing here as an almost graduate, I would like to take the time to thank all of the amazing Oak Grove teachers and staff. Russ, Brittany, Will, Jennifer, and Ashton, thanks for pushing me out of my comfort zone, for being the most wonderful class advisors, and for never giving up on me. You all seem to really care about your students, and I appreciate how passionate you guys are about the subjects you teach. I can honestly say that each and every one of you will be missed. Finally, I would like to take the time to address my parents and thank them for all the love and support they have poured into me over the years I have been in school. Dad, I appreciate all of the hours of time you have spent helping me with math or chemistry homework. Mom, I can't imagine how any of my essays would have turned out if you were not there to give me advice or proofreading help. Kaden, thanks for always being ready to listen to whatever I have to say and for getting through this high school experience with me. Thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate it more than you know. If you were to tell me 8 years ago how much my life would have been changed by Oak Grove, I would have never believed you. I would have never imagined how crazy but special my experiences at this school would turn out to be. I have transformed from a girl of 10 to an 18-year-old adult. I have gone from beach camping trips to flying to India. And now, from Oak Grove School to California State Channel Islands, I will go. Thank you. Soon to be famous, Nataraja incarnate, always positive. Please welcome Natasha.
Why are endings so hard for us when we know that eventually everything has to come to an end? I think graduating is hard because I always saw it as something so far in the distance, and I feel like it snuck up on me and now it's suddenly here. I always wondered how I would be ready for this moment. I'm not sure how it happened, but I grew up sometime over these years. And now I'm suddenly done with high school. My years of education have been a long road to finding myself, through dance and through the different educational environments I've experienced. I'm so excited for my future, but at the same time, I'm going to miss the comfort of this little town and everyone in it. Many times, I've written off Ojai as this dull town that I'm forced to grow up in. But looking back, I realized that there are so many special people and places in this little valley. 4 years ago, when I graduated from this same stage in 8th grade, I didn't fully appreciate Ojai or Oak Grove. I chose to go to a different school, Nordhoff, which my mom was not in favor of, but I was insistent. When we were driving to school on the first day, I was arguing with her. I vividly remember her saying, "I think you'll go to school there, but I don't think you'll graduate from there." "Well, I will," I said to her. My first day was terrible, but I wasn't ready to give up on it. Although with time it became clear that I needed a different learning environment. So Mom, you were right, but I'm glad you were right because being here again has been such a pleasure. Experiencing a different high school was also beneficial so that I could fully appreciate Oak Grove. In fact, I believe that all of the 9 different schools I've been to have been stepping stones to finding myself here in the end. Oak Grove is a school unlike all others, and that's part of its charm. The other day, my brother and I were on a Zoom call for student council. After we got off the Zoom call, he looked at me and said genuinely, "I love those people." What kind of a 16-year-old boy says that after a Zoom call with his school? It just goes to show what kind of a connection Oak Grove students have with each other. The staff here are all such good people who are passionate about what they teach. They make me want to learn. I know that they truly care about us because they always ask about our well-being beyond schoolwork. I also appreciate all the students here for being so unique and creative and inspiring. All of our personalities mesh to make a perfect team. No one blends in here. Everyone is so authentically themselves, and that is something that has helped me realize what is unique about me. For a large part of my life, I didn't have something that felt like my thing. I spent a long time searching for the thing that I really loved. Nothing ever really clicked until I did dance. I remember stepping on stage one day and performing, and it being the best feeling in the world. It was so special to me because nothing else in the world mattered besides that moment there. When I got off the stage, I didn't even remember what happened, but I stood there, giddy and breathless, with the biggest smile plastered on my face. I felt like I was at my happiest. It was a special moment for me, and when I snapped out of it, I realized that one of my dance teachers was looking at me. It looked like she had tears in her eyes, and she just nodded and smiled at me. I think that we had a mutual understanding in that moment of how special dance is. To this day, performing is the most freeing feeling to me. Since then, I've worked very hard to improve, and I've developed such a passion for the art. Like all of the different schools, all of the sports that I tried led me to dance. So trust the process. It may feel hopeless, but don't let that discourage you. I got into dance late, and I got into Oak Grove late, but I made it here in the end, and that's what counts. Keep treading on your journey because the destination is so worth it. And I never would have gotten anywhere without my family. It's so special to have unconditional love for people because it means that there are no limits. Thank you guys for your constant support. It means so much to me that you guys never missed one of my shows and made me feel good about myself afterwards, even if I didn't do well. Your belief in me has made me believe in myself and given me the confidence to pursue my dreams. Not every day is easy, but I have learned that even when you feel like sometimes there is nothing left, there is always something left for you to give. Thank you. Exacting at time, flowering before our eyes, acta non verba, please welcome Vivian Shen, virtually.
About an hour or less from now on, I'll be a former graduate student from Oak Grove and start the next stage of my life. 3 years of high school here seems to end in the blink of an eye. Standing here, I just want to enjoy this precious moment and share my memory with everyone here. There I was, clenching my documents and passport, just returned by the U.S. Customs officer. Under illumination of bright fluorescent lights, the directional signs on the white wall seemed understandable but unfamiliar. I knew that when I pushed the exit door in front of me, there would be a completely unknown world. The door constantly opened and shut. More and more people passed through and disappeared behind it. I spontaneously stepped forward and pushed the door open. Embraced by the warm wind and noon sunlight, I stepped on this land for the first time as an OGS student. Here I am, I exhaled. passing through the Customen over 10 times since the first entrance. My steps are more and more steady than before, because I know that behind the exit door, it's another home I could rest on. There I was, tightening up my heavy backpack on the starting point of California's Lost Coast. With shoulder straps violently chafing my skin, I feel completely drained after the first 5 minutes. The stiff ocean breeze constantly stimulated my nerves and brought away my energy to complain. I kept walking. I walked across brooks, over enormous rocks, by countless wildflowers, and under a curtain of stars at night. Checking bruises on my shoulders and my feet at the end point, I was so glad I didn't quit halfway. So proud of you, I told myself. I would never imagine myself going on 3 camping trips, 1 backpacking trip, and 1 road trip through 3 states. Walking over the uncertainty and anxiety, every inch of land I've crossed, and every landscape I've admired, have all been enshrined in my memory. There I was, sitting on the stone circle, listening to Russ announcing the moment of silence. There I was, basking in the warm afternoon sun, trying to focus and meditate. There I was, playing games with my green lizard group from all different grades. There I was, trying to answer Darcy's question that's not related to physics. And there I was, wandering on the main street in Santa Barbara with my dorm mates, deciding which restaurant to go for dinner. If I continue to recall my memory back in Oak Grove, my speech may go on for hours, and I know there's always going to be a time for me to say goodbye. I am always scared and timid to face the moment of everyone leaving and heading over to an unknown future. But right now, with all these valuable memories in my heart, I know I will be brave to leave because I have been here at Oak Grove. I know I was here at Oak Grove, learning and growing up with every supportive individual standing behind. I know I was here at Oak Grove, feeling the closeness and intimacy provided by this small and warm family. I know I was here at Oak Grove, experiencing hesitation, confusion, losses. But also because of Oak Grove, I obtained so much strength and confidence to make my decisions and walk fearlessly in the direction I chose. So, from now on, I'll package everything I learned and absorbed here and start my journey to the future. Thank you. Always has your back. Passionate, sincere, and fun. Adventure seeker. Let's welcome Adventure seeker. Let's welcome Henri.
Over the time that I've been in high school, so much has happened in the world. My freshman year, the first reality TV show host won the Electoral College vote and became president. It was also the year that I marched for women's rights in LA. The next year, the largest fire in California history at that time hit Ventura County. Schools got out, finals were canceled, and soon we were told to evacuate. Now, in my senior year, we are in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. We are now wearing masks everywhere we go, practicing social distancing, and watching as the number of confirmed cases goes up and up. Grocery stores are emptied out, toilet paper is hoarded. People are protesting in every state against quarantine, while healthcare workers work around the clock. There are hate crimes and protesters rioting for Black lives and equality. And those are just the things that have been affecting the U.S. Life will throw everything it can at you, but the world will take care of itself. Though we can do our best to help, everything comes and goes. That's just the way of life. We need to focus on working on ourselves in order to get to where we are best. nothing is as we expect it to be, and that's just something that we have to work around. Unfortunately for us, life doesn't just disrupt the world, it also throws curveballs at every individual. As a kid, I watched movies about high school and dreamt of the perfect version of myself walking through the hallways with pure confidence. Going into high school, I was the opposite of pure confidence. 8th grade had been a rocky year for me, mentally. Then when I was finally starting to readjust, I had to tell my friends that I wasn't going to be with them for high school. Did I want to leave North Carolina? No. I wasn't expecting to ever live on the opposite end of the country. But starting at Oak Grove gave me the opportunity to reinvent myself. I often felt like I was born without whatever gene made people able to talk in groups or say the right things. I was a kid who couldn't get through a class presentation without someone asking me to talk louder. But when I started Oak Grove, I forced myself to talk louder, talk more, and really go outside of what I was comfortable with. And I made progress. Did I lose all my insecurities and begin talking confidently in groups? No, but I was able to improve. Another curveball hit me my junior year. At the beginning of the year, I moved into the school dorms. I was honestly really happy about it, and I adjusted pretty quickly. I even had a roommate for the first time. I can't exactly pinpoint how, but she changed my life. We got along really well, despite being polar opposites, and we were good for each other. By living with her, I was able to find that part of me that was more courageous and unapologetic, in the right way. Later that year, I was given the incredible opportunity to go to England to visit Oak Grove Sister School Brockwood with Luna, Carrie, Warren, and Laurie. Did I make friends with ease? No. But even though it took time and many very awkward get-to-know-yous, I made friends, one of which I still talk to this day. Each year, I get closer and closer to being that perfect version of myself I dreamt of being in middle school. But I've also begun to see that image I had of my perfect high school self was ridiculous. Oak Grove has shown me, over the many years, the incredible advantages of being someone who doesn't try to fit into the cultural standards and trends of that year. Through all the surprises and curveballs life throws at you, I've learned to just keep moving through them. If high school has taught me anything, it's that you shouldn't expect anything. In the words of one of the wisest people I know, you can either go where the universe wants to take you, or you can fight it and be dragged. Sometimes things work out, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes even better options are presented to you. But in these times and struggles, it really makes me appreciate how privileged I am. The community here has been so supportive and kind. It means a lot to someone trying to navigate life as a teenager. The teachers ask you about your day and really care about what's going on. They'll share stories of their life and laugh about when they were in high school, losing track of time admiring rocks or discovering their love for Volkswagen Beetles. We are so lucky to have teachers and staff that are like our own friends. Oak Grove has been a place of learning and a place of failure, but also a place of community, a home, and a shelter. I'm so lucky to have spent the last 4 crazy years right here. Thank you. Leader, student, friend, protector of Mother Earth, our green thrift store queen, please help me welcome up Luna to this podium.
I went to my first senior graduation in 5th grade. I don't remember much about the night, but I remember looking up at this stage, and being fascinated by how ridiculously old those 12th graders seemed. And in the car on my way back home, I started imagining what I would say on that distant day when I would be graduating. And so, while brushing my teeth, I looked at myself in the mirror and I gave my graduation speech. I didn't know if I'd be at Oak Grove, but nevertheless, I thought about who I would be, how I would grow up, who I'd become. There was something so significant and so sentimental about being here, about graduating at Oak Grove, on this stage, where I grew up. The stage from which you can see the field, where all throughout preschool I would look for ladybugs. The stage where in first grade we gave the play The Sneetches, teaching the audience and ourselves a lesson on friendship, and growing to minimize inequalities in our society. The stage where we started every Peace Day and Field Day. The stage from which you can see the playground, and the swings, and the absence of which prompted me in 4th grade to go to Merity, the head of school at the time, and say that I think we need to fundraise for more swings. The stage when 8th grade I graduated middle school. The stage where we hosted Run for the Hills, an event I'm still really proud to have helped plan with Oak Grove and the Green Schools Coalition. And the stage on which throughout high school I played music on, I talked on, I even danced. And somehow, time passed in the blink of an eye. So now I'm here, on this stage, graduating. Next year I'm planning on going to UC Berkeley, and while leaving this school is very emotional, I think I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. And part of this comfort comes from knowing that while I'm leaving the physicality of this school, so much of it will always be with me as I navigate whatever else is to come. Because a large part of who I am, who I've become, is defined by this school. A large part of who I am has also been defined by the people around me. The teachers, who have somehow managed to make kids and teenagers excited to go to school, and who've always supported me. My class, my friends, who have managed to make me smile every day, and who've taught me what care and vulnerability means. Lyric, who has been with me throughout all the chaos of middle school, high school, and whatever is to come. My dad, who took me on countless trips in his VW bus as we went to Death Valley, San Francisco, Mexico, and all around. My siblings, who taught me how to take things more lightly and to have more fun. My mom, who, among other things, taught me German, which is why I'll address her and my German family in German. Mama, danke für deine Stärke und deine Liebe und deine Weisheit. Und Oma, danke, dass du meiner Rede zuhörst, obwohl du das meiste nicht verstehen kannst. And those watching, who have been part of my life as I grew up, and who have supported me as I end up here, thank you. Oh, I'm not done. Sorry. And somehow time passed in the blink of an eye, and I'm here, on this stage, graduating. And the graduation speech I planned since 5th grade is coming to an end. And it's not how I pictured. Now, there's an audience of 20 people. Everyone's wearing face masks. I had to put on hand sanitizer before I spoke. I can't hug my classmates. And instead of coming after weeks with friends and family, this day came during an international health pandemic. This day came during an economic crisis. This day came during a time of great uprising, protesting, and of much-needed change. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I never would have thought that I would go to a protest the afternoon before my high school graduation. And there's so much happening in this world right now. So much that needs acknowledging, so much that needs fighting for, so much that needs change. But nevertheless, let's take this moment to briefly forget about all that is happening in the world and take the time to celebrate the achievements of this class and of all of the other students graduating in these very out-of-ordinary times. Because despite everything happening in the world, today is an exciting day and worth celebrating. Congratulations, everyone. Now I'm done.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those beautiful, heartfelt speeches. And we didn't get to hear them beforehand, so that's really nice to get to hear them in real time. So, we are going to present diplomas, socially distantly. Are we ready? Okay. Jane Zaringer. Natasha Arce. So we also have Vivian Shen, and hopefully she's watching, and we will mail this to her, but let's congratulate Vivian. Annalise. Hold on. And Luna Honer Shields. Presenting the class of 2020. Woo! Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Have a really good night, and thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. It was a different event, but we pulled it off, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Anna made each of you a cake that you're going to get on your way out for you and your family. So, all right, that's it. We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.